Hello, Libronauts. Good evening. Tonight I have with me Keisha of A Book Like You. And of course, this month in September, we read Foe by Iain Reid. So, Keisha, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Keisha, and I'm from the channel A Book Like You. I'm also under the same name on Instagram. I typically read probably sweet, clean rom-coms and cozy mysteries more often than anything, but I do dabble in some other genres, one of them apparently being sci-fi now. So I have not read a ton of sci-fi, but I have read more than I realized, and I was really excited to be able to participate in your book club and read Foe because I've actually been really wanting to read this for quite some time. And so it's really fun to be a part of this because I get to branch out and read things that I don't normally read, and sometimes they surprise you. So I'm really happy and excited for tonight's discussion.
Yes, me too. And I'm so happy that you said yes to co-hosting with me. Alrighty. So, everybody, just let us know in the comments if you read the book with us and what you ended up rating it. Hello, Sam. Oh, she just finished it.
Yeah.
What did you think? What was your final rating? All right. And then, Keisha, do you want to go ahead and give a synopsis of what Foe was?
Yes. So basically, you get a little bit of a vague synopsis, but you are following Junior and Henrietta, and they live pretty comfortably out in the middle of nowhere. Picture kind of like farmland all around. There's a house, there's nobody else around for miles and miles. They live very far out from the city, and they live in very close quarters with each other. And then one day, this stranger comes to their house and tells Junior that he's going to have to take a trip very far away, and you don't really know just from the initial synopsis where he's going to have to go or anything else, but you do know that whenever Junior leaves, Henrietta is not going to be left alone. She is going to have some very familiar company, and that's kind of where we pick up in the story.
So I guess without giving your final rating, because we'll talk about that at the end, what were some of your overall thoughts of the book?
I thought that it was really okay, so on the back, the New York Journal of Books talks about it gives a review of it and says it's hypnotic. And I was like, that's such a good way to describe this because I was sucked in from the very beginning. I do think it's a very slice of life type of a story, but it's got a twist on it where there's suspense and there's obviously something a little bit unnerving going on. And to me, I was just so sucked in and hypnotized by the story and what was going on and trying to figure out what was there. So I feel like overall thoughts were just very mesmerized by it, very entertained. I love the short chapters. So I was very enthralled by it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, the beginning, because right off the bat, things are happening. So there's not much build up. It's just boom, things
You're
kind of
thrown
start.
into it.
Yeah, exactly. And then I don't know, you're not told anything. So I
Yeah.
kept going back and forth, I think, between being like, oh my gosh, what's happening? I want to keep going, to kind of in the middle being like, I really need to know what's happening, but I'm frustrated because I don't know what's happening. So it felt like I was angry a lot of the time.
Oh no. That's totally understandable though.
Hi, Yvette. Thanks for joining. This was so fun because I finally get to be a part of Libronauts. Yay! Also, already have my hold for This Time Tomorrow. Awesome. For those of you that don't know, This Time Tomorrow is our October book.
Yay.
And Yvette gave it 3 stars. Definitely like the overall concept, but hated the gaslighting. Oof, yeah. I would agree.
Yeah.
And fun fact, I was telling Keisha when we were off screen that I still don't know what I'm rating this book. So I'm hoping as we go through the discussion that maybe you guys can help me come to a decision. Hopefully. I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to pick something, but
Yeah.
okay. Now you've read from Iain Reid before, right?
Yes, I have read I'm Thinking of Ending Things. That was my first book by him, and I think that was his first fiction book that he came out with. I Looked him up, and I know he's written some memoirs, which I am very interested in reading, just because I am interested in this man's brain. Um, and I really did enjoy I'm Thinking of Ending Things. It was like a pick up on a whim type of a book. And I gave that one 5 stars. So this is my second book by him. And I also own We Spread. So I do plan to read more.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't read anything by him before. I heard a lot about We Spread when it first came out.
Mhm.
And it sounded like ominous, but very emotional. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people talked about crying when they read it. Now, I'm thinking of Ending Things. Like, does it have a similar vibe to Foe, or are they completely different books?
I think they're similar. I mean, his writing style to me is, well, I don't know. This one is more chill, and that one is more like thrillery, and you have a little bit more context. This one, I feel like you kind of know a little bit more of what's going on the whole time. Like you might not exactly know, but you
Mhm.
kind of know a little bit more in this one versus in that one. I think you probably don't know what's going on for the majority of the time. And that one does have a more psychological thriller feel, and this one has more of a, I don't know, speculative fiction maybe kind of
Yeah.
feel. So
Okay. I think there are really cool things to talk about. Oh yeah, like even though I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars, even though I didn't enjoy a lot of it, gave me anxiety. Yes, I agree. Sam, didn't you say that about The Light Pirate as well? I think when we were talking about, like, the environmental catastrophe stuff, I feel like you said that about that one too, that it just gave you a lot of anxiety, and I agree, again. First Iain Reid, yay! Same here. Yeah, so much anxiety for sure. Just because you don't know what's happening
yeah,
and
but I love that. I love the not knowing and trying to figure it out. That's my favorite thing.
yeah. And I think I told you too, kind of when we were touching base a little bit, I was like, I don't know what to expect. I'm afraid to turn the page and have something else kinda be thrown at you and
You
oh,
read this book over so many days, and I was like, "How do you not just sit there and read it in one sitting?" I was like, "How?" Because it's short chapters and it goes so fast, it's like you want to know, and you kept I was like, "Have you finished yet? Have you finished yet?"
I think I just needed a break, honestly. I was like, between the anger of not being told anything and the anxiety of not
And
knowing
Terrence
anything.
being Terrence.
Yes, I'm just like, "Okay, my brain needs a break." Hello, Gwen. Thanks for joining. Rated it 3 stars. Okay. Yes, they all give me anxiety, but sometimes I like feeling something other than just happiness with books.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. Hi, Gwen. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I see, I was just saying. That's what I was telling her, and I was telling Gwen too, because she was like, "I don't know if I'll get to it in time," and I was like, "You will, because you're gonna start it, and it's gonna go by like that." And
Yeah.
she reads fast anyways.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yes. I bet.
Freaking Terrence. Gosh.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. So, I think he's eventually and we'll talk about him in a little bit, but I think he's eventually, described as, like, an early 30s type person.
Mhm.
I was picturing him, and I can't think of the show or anything, but, like, he's like one of the SHIELD agents in the Marvel movies or something, and he's, like,
Yeah.
a lot older. That's who I was picturing as
I was
Terrence.
picturing, like, Men in Black, like, the headlights, him coming out and walking, I was like, "This is Men in Black. Where are the aliens?"
Yeah. Read it in an evening. Awesome. Started yesterday, finished it today, but it only took me that long because my mother-in-law's in town. Okay.
Mhm.
Alrighty. So this is a sci-fi book club. So let's talk about how this book fit into the sci-fi genre. So what kind of stood out to you?
Are we talking spoilers at this point?
Yes. So
Okay.
FYI, anyone that's not read the book, we are going to talk about everything. So you will be spoiled.
Okay.
Go
The
ahead.
main thing I feel like that made this sci-fi for me was I guess like the space thing does kind of make it sci-fi because that is something that I feel like most people associate with the genre is that's what people think of as space. But we obviously were not in space, didn't get a lot of space. So the main thing I think would probably be the incorporation of the AI.
Mhm.
So I think mostly those two things are the ones that stand out. And again, I don't read a lot of sci-fi, so there may be other things that I'm not acknowledging that were part of the genre.
Mhm.
But isn't like I said earlier, speculative. It reminds me of like speculative, and isn't that like a subgenre of sci-fi, or is it not?
Yeah.
Am I okay? So I think, and the speculativeness of it was, I mean, the nature of the story, and well, I guess it could be a little bit futuristic too, because I could, see this happening with
Mhm.
AI, especially where we are today. So
Yeah.
subgenres.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, like, the whole ominous vibe and, like, a complete stranger
Hmm.
from this big company, corporation type entity that is telling you, like, you've been selected. So wasn't there, like, a type of lottery of
Yeah,
sorts where
yeah,
people were selected at random? And so that definitely, I think, gives it the sci-fi, like, qualifies for sci-fi. And then, like, all the tech that Terrence had.
yeah.
Um,
That's true.
yeah, and like that I don't
Listening devices and
yeah, the listening
things
devices
you
and that
put on.
thing,
Yeah.
yeah, on the back of Junior's neck. Um, hmm, yeah, okay.
Which is funny because, like, it was obviously sci-fi, but I didn't feel like I was reading a sci-fi book when I read this at the
Yeah,
same time. It
yeah,
wasn't, like, overly.
yeah, definitely not, like, in your face. Living in space, replacements, listening to our convos, yeah,
Yes. Ugh.
and, honestly, I was like, because you hear about the space pretty early on in the book, and so I was expecting us to see some of that, and because we
Mhm.
didn't, I was kinda bummed. Like, I it said space, and I'm like, "Ooh, yay, okay, space
Yeah.
book, finally."
Well,
Nope.
I was like, "This is a hoax. There's nobody's going to space." I questioned that the whole time. I was like, "Nobody's going to space. They're just saying this in place of something else. Like, joke's on me, somebody did go to space." But I
Yep.
was like, they're not really going anywhere."
Seriously, the amount of times that I was like, "Okay, this is what's going on," and then,
Yeah.
like, 2 pages later, "No, no, 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 I've got it. This is
Yeah.
what's going on." So many times it was exhausting. I've never had that happen in a book before.
I love that. That's like my favorite. I love because I'm like so back and forth. I feel like I like for the most part, I feel like I knew what was going on, but you're right. Like he did a good job of making you question,
Yeah,
what different things were
yeah,
happening.
like, literally everything. Even my own sanity at times. Gwen agrees with you. The big brother aspect, yes.
Yeah.
Which is kinda scary because, like, that could happen, and I think at a certain level is happening
Mhm.
in today's world. I'm going to space and leaving AI, the talk about the different crops and how they have changed. Yeah,
That's good
they
too.
a lot what was it, canola?
Yeah.
We talked a lot about that.
How it was like genetically, which they're already genetically modifying our food, which,
Yeah,
oh gosh, it's terrifying, anyways.
yeah. I thought we were going to get a Xenon moment. Me too, and I was so sad when that didn't happen. That was a thought that I had at a certain point. I was like, "This" like or at least that Junior was an alien.
Mhm.
They were studying him so closely, and
Mhm.
he kept emphasizing how like, he's a disgusting person just like everybody else, and, he's an individual, like, it's almost like he kept trying to reassure himself to the
Mhm.
point where I was like, "I don't think you are, though."
Yeah.
"Hello, Hannah. Not feeling great."
Um,
"Oh, no. Well, I hope you feel better." That's not fun. There's something going on around because
yeah,
I
because
a lot of
everybody's sick.
people yeah. It's because schools are back in session, all the
Mm.
germy children. Mine included. I'm crossing my fingers that I don't catch anything. Let's see. Okay. So, Outermore, the company that was supposedly heading all of this up, what do you think their true purpose was?
It sounded like just from, like, what was on page,
Mhm,
they're trying to make a permanent installation in space. But
mhm,
I did question, like, there wasn't a lot of explanation on why, like, is the Earth dying at this point? They didn't ever go into why are they trying to make a permanent installation? Like, we don't really know anything because this was such a secluded setting. We don't really know what's going on in the world outside of this one place. So I question that a little bit. So I don't know if the purpose for me was, I mean, and I don't think it was meant to be solidified for us. But then it also makes you wonder, like, yes, they were talking about the space thing, but was Outermore more the people that provided the AI for the purposes of, like maybe they worked with the company who were sending people to space and they were just the part that provided the replacements for people.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way. Like, I guess I assumed it was the company that is sending people to space,
Yeah.
but you make
And
a
it is
good
called
point.
Outermore, so it probably is, but I was just thinking outside the box.
Yeah. But, like, also too, the AI aspect, because it sounded like that was a fairly new technology because
Mhm.
Terrence was all excited at, like, how successful this was and,
Right.
but then the fact that they just, like, did away with him in the end, it's
Oh
like, I
my gosh, I literally was on the verge of tears.
yeah.
I'm like, I'm crying over a robot,
Yeah.
but he had feelings, like, I feel like he developed as well, not a human, but, like, he was starting to experience human emotions and treated Henrietta better than her own husband, so, I mean
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that whole section was, and I knew because you had in the Discord, you said something about, like, "This is heartbreaking." I'm like, "Oh, no, what's gonna happen?" And then I got to that part, I'm like, "Oh."
and she was so attached, and it's
Mhm.
like she didn't realize how attached she was until you see her progressively get attached.
Yeah.
Like, there were points where you knew, like, I hate to bring this up, but, like, she was using him for certain pleasures, at certain points, and you knew she was detached, but by the end, like, realizing how much, like, he had developed a care for her, and she had developed, like, a connection to him after all that time. Because I mean, 2 years was how long her husband was gone. That's a long time to have to get acquainted with the replacement, so
Yeah, yeah. And I think she mentioned too, like, he listened to her,
mhm.
and that was something that she just appreciated so much.
And learned from her by listening,
Mhm.
which, men don't always do.
Yep. I was just thinking that. Breakup families is what I
That's
got.
the purpose.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
That's true. Think they were
Unfor
definitely the replacement company. Okay.
Yeah. Terrence definitely was what yeah, and if he was yeah, that was his sector, was the replacement
Yeah.
and creation of them, I think.
Mhm. We all cried over Weibo and Flubber. Oh, I haven't seen that movie in so long. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
what a throwback.
And then that makes me scared to see that new, robot movie coming out. I can't remember what it's called.
You talking about
Wild
the
Ro
Love Robot? So
Yeah.
that's a middle grade book,
Is it? Is
and
it
I read
sad?
it Huh?
Is it sad?
Well, the book, I mean, I didn't cry, but I could see how it could be, but when I watched the trailer for the movie, I was like, I'm gonna cry. And
No.
funnily enough, I read that with my in-person middle grade book club when I used to do that. And the parents of some of those kids have gotten to me and said, like, hey, we should all go have a reunion and watch this movie. And it's been 3 years since we read the book and we have like a group picture. So we're gonna go see it and then take another picture and like have a
That's
reunion. So it's gonna be fun. But
I love that.
and it's a sci-fi book, so that's a good recommendation for if you like middle grade.
Have you seen The Iron Giant?
It has been a long time, yes, but I don't know that I remember it super well, but I do remember, like, watching it as a kid.
Yeah. Well, the part at the end, because he's like he tells himself he's Superman or something, and he, like, saves the town, and at the end, he, like, shoots up to the sky to, like, collide with the bomb so everyone in the town survives, and this is an
Yeah,
old movie, so I'm sorry if no one's seen it, but where have you been? And every time, because my youngest loves that movie, so I watched it when I was a kid, and then I've
yeah.
seen it since then, and every time I get so teary-eyed because he's
Aw.
saving the town and he's so proud of himself. I'm like, "I'm crying over a robot. I can't."
No, that's
Good,
not why you would cry.
good. Wait,
Well,
Why would you cry?
Well, I mean, so he doesn't there's 3 books in the series, okay? I'll just put it that way, so that's all I'm gonna say. I don't wanna spoil it for anybody that might wanna watch it or read it.
Eh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited.
I like that idea, though, especially after 3 years coming back together. That's really fun.
Mhm.
No, I know. Yeah. Did you guys know that he is voiced by Vin Diesel?
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
Mm. You're gonna
Yep.
make me wanna go back and watch this. Oh my gosh, I knew it. I knew Hannah was gonna say this.
Never seen. Oh,
She's
yeah.
never seen, like, the majority of great classic film, I'm just saying.
Flubber movie night, yeah.
Yeah. I
Oh,
made her and Yvette watch Matilda with me because neither one of them had ever seen it. Yeah,
seriously?
and we watched it a couple weeks ago, and they both loved it. I was like,
Good. Good, good, good.
I mean and Hannah being a teacher, I was like, "You are Miss Honey." Like
Oh, yes, I love that. See,
and
I'm
so
always scared to show people, like, older movies. Okay, Nick had never seen Beetlejuice. I showed it to him last year, and I'm like, "I really want you to love this movie because I love this movie, but seeing it now as an adult,
yeah,
you
it's
didn't grow up
different.
with it." I was like, "You're gonna think it's stupid," and he hated it, which,
Yeah.
like, is devastating, but I get
I
it.
understand it. I've rewatched it recently because I thought about going to see the second one, but I didn't think it was as entertaining as an adult, and I don't know why. I just didn't
Yeah.
it was nostalgic for me, and there were points of it that I was like, "Oh, I love this part," but as a whole, I was, like, kinda bored, and I was like, "No."
No.
Um,
I've heard the new one is pretty what? Oh, okay. I
you
thought
thought she said
you said
Beetlejuice
Beetlejuice 3.
3.
I was like, "What?" Did you like it, Yvette? Was it good? I've heard that it was good. I was also
Yeah.
worried about the sequel, thinking
I do like that they brought back, like, the original cast other
mhm,
than the creep, but
yeah, yeah. Okay, where were we? Okay, alright, your favorite person. What did you think of Terrence?
If anybody here liked Terrence, like, we've got a problem because Terrence was I mean, I get the man was doing his job, okay, but he was annoying, and I think he's definitely one of the people you have the title of the book as foe, and he's definitely one of the people you're like, "Is he the foe?" But so I was obviously thinking about that the whole time, is he the foe? But he's a man who's doing his job, and I get that while he was gaslighting um, Junior or AI Junior the whole time. And, obviously, Hen knew what was going on too this whole time. He was a hard character to follow, but you kind of understand in regard to what he was there for. I mean, he worked for Outermore and he was trying to make sure that things were going as planned. And like you said, it seems like this is a fairly new company or a new like AI creation, and so it was his job to maintain that. And so I'm trying to empathize with him. Empathy is not a good word to use for Terrence. I'm trying to understand that he was doing his job, but I obviously just didn't like him, and especially at the end when he took AI Junior away and they were going to shut him down. It's like he is clearly, to me, as somebody who is doing his job and doing just he was very robotic to me. It
Mhm.
ironically because he didn't seem to me to experience emotion in a very human way. Like he was very robotic in his actions and did not care about shutting Junior down or how Hen felt about that. Like it was very like cut and dry. So
Yeah,
I think that's really ironic that he was kind of embodying that as a character while that was part of his job. So
yeah. And, like, I could understand if he was in his 60s and he'd been doing this for decades, just because at that point you kinda just become numb to it.
mhm.
He wasn't that old, and it was a fairly new technology, so obviously and did they say he was the first successful
I
one
think I
done?
think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too. Mhm. It felt like I was on acid, but I did
Oh my
was
goodness.
that it? Oh, that was, I think, in regards to Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. And then this one, big ol' note from me. Oh, I didn't even tell you what my thoughts of him were. I I didn't mind him too much in the beginning, but definitely I think he seemed to insert himself a lot
Mhm.
where he didn't need to. And, like, I understand that he had already kind of formed a closer relationship with Hen because they knew each
Mhm.
other from before,
Mhm.
the
Right.
real junior because they had to prep and everything, but I don't know, like, I don't think he did a really good job of not intentionally hurting AI Junior's feelings, which is weird to say because, again, he's not human, but I don't know. So, yeah, eventually, I definitely got to a point where I agreed with you, where I didn't like him, and I think, yeah, he was doing his job, but he was just being a crappy person, I think, at a
I
certain point.
do think, like, for some people, he ruined the story,
Mhm,
Yvette being one, because that's when she was talking with me about it as she was reading it, and she just was like, she couldn't get past the gaslighting. But
mhm,
for me, I never read it like, I didn't process that it was gaslighting until because I was so focused on why I was reading it and understanding like I'd read from this author before and I know this is all going to be like trippy and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So I think for me it didn't like even though Terrence wasn't a likable character, he didn't ruin the story for me. I just saw him as a piece of the puzzle to
yeah,
all of this that was going on.
yeah, for sure. Literally an annoying fly that wouldn't go away. Yeah, and, like, at the point where he officially moved in with them, and
Yeah.
so he was just there constantly. And then what really made me mad is that he pushed AI Junior, like, out of his bedroom with Hen, forcing him to sleep downstairs for his arm procedure and kept feeding him these pain pills, like,
Yeah.
that made me mad.
And nobody said anything about anyone staying with her other than the replacement. So
Mhm,
why did he, like there, that was just never part of the conversation. So it's funny
yeah.
that that was that way.
Kept saying how wonderful and important Junior was, then wha-bam, went and killed him, yeah. Oh, he didn't bother me at all. Gwen's the outlier. I mean, he was doing his job, and I think by the end, I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's why he was like that." Yeah, I think most people become numb to their job,
Oh,
so
I hate
mhm,
that. I don't ever want to become like that.
yeah. I don't think it was gaslighting, maybe I am misunderstanding how it was, I think that word is way overused, I think you had to lie to Junior. I do see that because obviously, he couldn't be 100% honest with Junior, but I do kind of feel like the way he went about doing it, like, it was very and again, I know the Junior that we were with the majority of the book was not a real person, but he did have feelings, he had emotions, he
Mhm.
was sentient, and he had thoughts, and he had a sense of him being an individual, and the fact that Terrence kinda patronized him, like, he kinda talked down to him and, like, almost like he was talking to a child, like, I don't know, it did
I
bother
mean, he did tell him things like, "Oh, don't you know this?" Or don't like he did the things of gaslighting, but I get what Gwen is saying, and I do agree. It wasn't like a typical gaslighting situation, like in a relationship like we would normally
right,
see it.
yeah,
It was based on the job, and it was very important for the replacement junior to be doing his job. And so, in order for him to keep in line with that, he had to continue programming him that way. So it
mhm,
made sense in light of the story.
yeah. I agree gaslighting is overused, but definitely felt it in this case. And, like, honestly, I didn't think of it as gaslighting until you guys kinda brought it up in this discussion, and, like, you saying that, I'm just like, "Oh, yes, yeah." He had to straight up lie to him. We hear all the time, "If AI realizes they aren't real, it melts their brain."
Yeah.
He needed Junior to be on the up and up until the real Junior came back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean it did kind of, like, when he did find out, like, when the real Junior walked in and he's like, "Wow, this replica looks a lot like me, they did a good job."
Yeah.
"Oh, sweetie, you're the replica." Oh, that was so sad. It's making me sad again. He kept telling him everything was fine, and whenever Junior said something happened, Terrence would deny it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that stuff specifically, like, kinda brushing things off is like, "Oh, it's fine.
Mhm.
Don't worry about it."
Hello.
Hello. Just popping on. Enjoyed the book quite a bit. Gave it 4 stars. Really intriguing premise. Good pick.
Yay, I'm so glad you liked it, Allie. I told her to message me when she got done, and she was like, "I really liked it," and I'm like, "Yay!"
Good. You agreed to this last time I visited you. No, you didn't. Oh, you just don't remember because there was so much info the last time I visited you. Yeah.
Like, "No, but really, you didn't."
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that, like, blew my mind the most is having to come to the realization that this isn't the beginning of the process. This is the very end of the process. So everything that
Mhm.
I was preparing my mind for already
It
happened.
already happened.
Yeah. Okay. So, how do you think you would react if you were in either Junior or Hen's position?
If I was in Hen's position, I don't know that I could do I would almost rather be alone because I
Mhm.
feel like it would really mess with and obviously we see how it messed with Hen. It would really mess with my emotions, and I feel like I wouldn't be able to adequately grieve that, like, separation from my husband and, having that replacement. I think it would be I just ideally, I don't wanna be part of any type of experimentation like that, like, I'm good, just leave me alone. Would I hate being alone? Yes, but, like, I do not need an AI I just would not. I don't know. And then Junior, I mean, obviously well, okay, are you talking about Junior, like the real Junior? Or the which Junior?
I was implying just AI Junior, but if you want to
Okay.
speak on both of them, that's
Well, I thought AI Junior, but then I was like, "Well, hold on, let me ask." But AI Junior, obviously felt so empathetic for because he did at the beginning, obviously he was only programmed to know so much, but I do feel like he learned, and if I was in his position, I can't imagine obviously, we can't imagine what it's like to be a robot,
Mhm.
but as a human and assuming that he developed these enough like intellect and feeling to be able to be crushed by the realization that he is in fact the replacement. Like it just would be devastating. And I feel like I would have reacted exactly like how he reacted in the book, because your whole life is a lie. You've literally been lied to the whole time that you for the 2 years or whatever you've been alive doing this job. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, really, I don't care about the real Junior, so we don't have
Yeah.
to go there. But because I'm like, how would you react? Well, he clearly left his wife and had no issue doing that, and then came back and just proceeded to treat her like an object and like, "Hey, I did this really important thing, and yes, it was so good that you stayed here, and, like, I know it was hard for you to have to do this, but, like, I did this, and thank you for letting me do this because I did the important work." Like, go away,
Mhm.
I don't really care about yeah.
Wasn't he even mad that she wasn't asking him more questions about it?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, just so conceited in his the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he talked about, like, her being his anchor and stuff too, and I was like, "Get a grip." Like, don't I just feel like she was a means to an end for him. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
all the eye rolls.
Yeah. And I guess from Hen's point of view, like, obviously, AI Junior was very different from real Junior.
Mhm.
So, like, once she, because I think she said that it took her quite some time to get
Right.
used to him, to the AI Junior being there and getting to a point where they can actually have conversation and things like that. So, I I don't know, I personally couldn't imagine being in her position.
Mhm.
Like, I'm assuming she missed real Junior
But,
to a
like,
certain
him the replacement being so to the likeness of him, being
yeah.
such a good replica, that's what I'm talking about, like, it's gotta toy with you because it's like,
Mhm.
it looks like it's by all stretch of the means, it is still your husband,
Yeah.
but, like, it's not. I don't know, I just feel like that would really mess with my brain. I'd have to go to therapy after all that.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I don't know, looking like him, but having a completely different personality.
And then obviously, like, because she was with him and realizing, like, oh, this robot is better than my actual husband. And look at where we ended up,
Mhm.
like, clearly there was more than just like I don't know, there was a lot that went on there. So,
Yeah. And I wonder too, like, obviously for AI Junior, he's kept in the dark about a lot of things. So, of course, we as the reader are kept in the dark of a lot of things. I'm
yeah.
assuming for real Junior, when he was actually going through the process of getting ready to go off to space, I'm assuming that they got more information. So it would be interesting to maybe get that part of the story as well.
Mhm.
And I mean, we got very, very small pieces of what Real Junior went through, but I don't know. It would just be interesting to see that part and how it compared
Yeah.
and how it affects you as a reader, like knowing what's going on
Yeah.
versus being completely in the dark.
Mhm.
So that would be tough for everyone involved, honestly. Let's see. Jovi.
She has shaken like 5 or 6 times since we've been on here. She wants to play, and I'm like, "Girl," every time.
Agree to disagree. Also really liked that he helped out Hen in the end. I mean, Hen trusted him enough. Yeah. Yep, definitely a much better husband than the real Junior. People go on military leave, I would not want AI as a replacement. That's
Mhm.
true. If I was Hen had real Junior for a husband, I would be like, "Thank the Lord, take him and keep him as long as you want."
Yes. Oh my goodness.
I wonder though, like, did she realize or did she not realize because she didn't know any different until he had left and she did get the AI version of him?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because it's
Mhm.
almost like I think what it made me think about was, they were in an isolated setting and all they had were each other. But you can be isolated and alone, still being with another person. And I
Mhm.
think that maybe she realized just how isolated she was when she had AI Junior come in and he did begin to listen to her and understand her and have conversations. And it made her question, like, like maybe like I thought I still had somebody here and I wasn't alone in this space, but she was more alone than she thought. And then I also think there was probably some animosity there because she talks about wanting to travel so much and wanting to get outside of where they're at, but Junior wanted them to stay in this space and he got the opportunity to actually travel. So I'm sure there was like some animosity there with like, okay, well, you get to go have an adventure and I have to stay here because she
Yeah.
did have that desire. So,
Yeah. And I wonder too, because the book talked a lot about her, like AI Junior would find her like in their bedroom looking out the window, and she
mhm.
kind of became increasingly anxious or agitated the closer that they got to his departure. And I kind of wonder, like, knowing now what it was leading up to, I'm like,
Mhm.
was she anxious, excited, nervous that real Junior was coming back or that she was going to be losing the Junior that she had
Yeah,
grown accustomed to.
yeah,
Yeah. I wonder if they offered it as an option or if they were leaving you. Oh, that's a good question. I didn't think about that. Like, was it an option or is it like you're leaving and you're getting a
yeah.
replacement to stay with
That's a
you?
good question.
Hmm. I also think she was so dumb to real Junior that she was ready for him to go. I personally wouldn't be eager at all. I think it depends on the relationship.
Yeah,
Mhm.
true.
Thinking of either situation gives me anxiety. Everything, all the anxieties. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't I oh, either situation would be I think for me personally though, like I might be okay with the AI replacement because knowing myself, if
I
I was
know.
with somebody and then they just went off for 2 years, like
Yeah,
I would get in my head, like I would need somebody there. Maybe not necessarily an AI replacement, but like my
from a
mom's
family or friends. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
AI Junior even stated a couple times that Hen came from a really bad situation, so maybe the real Junior controlled her more than we know. Oh,
That's a good point.
yeah. I think the AI version of Junior let her detach her emotional connection to Junior and see her relationship for what it was.
Yes, that's good, Allie. Yeah.
Yeah. All good points, guys. All right. So throughout the book, we kept hearing about these mysterious creatures. And when they first came on the scene or on the page, I guess, it said something about tentacles. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, it's an alien. There's like an alien creature. And then
Yeah.
eventually it came out that it's a rhinoceros beetle, which I, Keisha and I were talking about this. I thought they were kind of cute a little bit.
I don't know that that's cute, but this is
I
what they
mean,
look like.
they're harmless, right? Like they won't sting you or bite you or anything or
I mean, I don't know. It looks like it would hurt me, but I don't know.
look at he's like, "Hey," he's waving to the camera.
Me and you have different ideas of cute. I wonder if they are. I don't know. But yeah. So this question, I still don't really know the answer to it. I was like, why? I was talking to you earlier about, well, maybe it's just that they're like reflective bugs. And it was like, squirrel. Like, you know how sometimes in movies, it may not be a reflective thing, but there's some things that like draw robots back into like this static kind of.
Oh,
So I wonder if there was something that just I don't really know. And I did Google like symbolism of rhinoceros beetles, thinking, oh, there's probably some deeper meaning here, but I didn't really put anything together. Like it says that they're symbols of strength, which I mean, he could have maybe been using that as something. I don't know, but I don't understand why that they would like just all of a sudden get in a daze, like when they
yeah.
looked at them. But anything else that I see doesn't click for me with the story. So I would honestly like to pick the author's brain. I feel like he should have put it out there in the universe somewhere, like, hey, this is why. So that's one of those things I don't really know if I know the answer to. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I honestly don't have much of an answer either. I love what you said about how if they're kind of like iridescent or shimmery or something and how it just kind of like puts the AI into a trance or
Mm-hmm.
throws off
Their circuit or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. But yeah, I don't know. Like I was kind of waiting for something to come out related to that. And again, I was kind of bummed that that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Didn't was it the real junior that like squashed one at the end?
Yeah. Yeah.
That made
And
me
and Hen was like, "Oh, yeah, they're all over the house," like, it didn't bother her at that point, and I
yeah.
almost wonder if, like, it reminded her of AI Junior because, I don't know. Gosh, so sad.
It's probably the teacher in me, but I think they're kind of cute too. Yes. See,
Bug
Hannah knows.
people.
Hannah knows. Okay, and let's be clear, I don't like bugs. Like, okay, but there was this one time, this was like a week ago. We get really big wolf spiders, like with their legs are probably like that big. And
No.
I'm in Michigan. I'm sure they're bigger elsewhere, but that's pretty big for up here.
Yeah.
And I got home from picking my kids up from my parents. And so it was late, it was dark, and my oldest, he's like, "Oh my goodness, like there's a huge spider." And I looked and it was a wolf spider. And usually if they're outside, I don't kill them. I only kill them if they're in the house. But because it was so big and it was like right outside the garage, I was nervous that it was gonna like get in the garage and then get in the house. So I killed it. But I felt guilty about it for like a good week.
I have never felt guilty about killing a spider, I'm just being
No.
honest. I mean, maybe I should, but not spiders. Other things maybe. Like, we've had roly-polies or, like, what are they called? Pill bugs, whatever, I
Yeah,
call them roly-polies.
I love
Come in
those.
our house, and I feel so bad because, like, we've gotten I don't know if infestation is the right word, but they just, like, started coming in through our bathroom somewhere, and we never figured out where because it's not like they trail in like ants.
Mhm.
and we would just have to get rid of them. And there were times where I couldn't just like walk and throw them outside, and so like would flush them down the toilet or like, and I'm just like, oh, but they don't hurt anything. So those I feel guilty about.
Yeah. Aw. I was so thrown off by the tentacles. Yeah. I love rhino beetles. Pumbaa loved them. Oh, yeah. So I think, Keisha, you're the outlier on this one. The rhino
Well,
beetles are adorable.
it's fine. I will be the outlier.
I read that rhino beetles are used for experimental learning, which is what AI Junior was.
What?
Interesting.
I missed that because I
Well,
was looking up symbolism. That's probably why.
mhm.
That's neat.
That is very cool. There is an article on Medium about the beetles, but I still don't feel like it gives a firm answer. Like,
Mhm.
in regards to why they were used in the book or just in general? I guess I don't know what medium is. I saw them the same way as the noises Hen was hearing at night, kind of a manifestation of some of the darker things about her life she was trying to ignore. Okay, why they were used in the book. Interesting.
Mm.
So there's an article on Medium, but it still doesn't give a firm answer. Okay. I guess we'll never know then.
I'm trying to like Google things, but I'm having a hard time finding like what I'm looking for. So I don't know. I'll look into it later, but I would like to know
Mhm.
because all it's showing me is like robot beetles or an AI generated beetle. And I'm like, that's not what I'm asking for. I want to know the correlation between anything like robotic, and I even
Yes.
typed in experimental learning and it's not showing me.
I
It's,
wonder if
it's
the author has done any interviews, like, especially because a movie ended up coming out, and I wonder if they'll be in the movie or if they'll have left
I
that
don't
out.
know. That's a good question. Oh, I'm so excited about that.
I know, me
Um,
too. Alrighty, where did we leave off? Okay, so my answer for this one changed numerous times, and I don't know, but who or what do you think was the foe in question?
Real Junior.
That's what I ended on
I
as
mean,
well.
that's my answer is Real Junior. I do think we questioned, who is this Junior that's at the house? Like, is he a foe? Because he's being like, we don't really know who he is. And then it's like, but is Hen the foe? Because she clearly knows something and is not telling him. Or is Terrence the foe? Because he's just this random stranger who comes in and says, hey, you have to leave. And he splits up the family, which I think they all function as a foe in the situation or in the story in different.
Oh,
I think that
it's
they
not
can
just
all
one, it's
function.
multiple.
Mhm.
Okay.
But if I had to pick one, the real Junior is the foe.
Mhm.
But I do think they did all function as it at different points in the story.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I'm trying to remember who the first person I know I suspected Hen, and I'm pretty sure I said that either to you or in the Discord, but just the way she was acting, and this was fairly early on in the book, but I was like, "I wonder if she is the foe, like, there's something going on with her."
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. Or
Gwen sent
maybe
the link.
what's that?
Gwen sent the link about the Beatles.
Oh, okay.
And it talks about the book, and it's in relation to the book. I'm trying to see if I can graze over. Hey, it won't let me read the whole thing.
Oh.
It's like create an account to read the full story. I hate those things.
Yeah, mine does that too.
So it's not going to let me get to the point of it. That's
Ooh, did you
frustrating.
see that quote, though, at the very beginning by the author?
The privilege of being human is that our brains are big enough to decide the fate of other creatures. Oh, gosh.
That
Gosh.
that's like it's like just words, but then if you really think about it, it's just like that's big.
Hmm. Yeah, I wish I could read it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, copy and paste it in the Discord, Gwen. Take care of us.
I think the mention of them also gave an otherworldly feel to the story, which is a perfect vibe for all the craziness. Yeah, especially the
Mhm.
tentacles. Like, I don't know what tentacles they were talking about because if you
I mean,
look
I
at the
guess their arms were called that. They don't really have tentacles like ants have. Like,
no, well,
I don't know.
I guess that
Mhm.
picture in the article, they have, like are those antennae or
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, I bet that's what it was.
okay.
Unless they're just talking about their arms. I don't know. Bug terminology.
Um, who's William? Who's William?
I don't know. Who are we talking about, Yvette? I have no idea. I'm like, what?
I'm trying to think. I don't think I remember that name at all.
I don't know. Who knows? She's gonna have to elaborate. William Defoe. Willem Dafoe. His name's Willem, isn't it? Willem Dafoe.
It is Willem.
But okay, you're funny. You're funny. Willem is Dafoe. She's always coming in with the jokes, man.
Yvette.
I don't know where she comes up with this stuff.
I'm gonna start snorting. Okay, don't.
I love it.
Ooh.
Oh man.
Ooh, okay. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Oh gosh, my face is beet red now. Thank you, Yvette.
Oh.
Oh goodness. Okay. None of us being smart enough to figure out what the
Right.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Thank you. Yes, yes, Yvette brings the funnies everywhere with her. I love that. Okay. Okay. Now the ending. What did you think of the ending?
I had like a full blown reaction, like verbal reaction. I was like, oh yeah, like I
Mhm.
was so excited because I just I just loved it. Like, was
Mhm.
it? I know there was like twists. Like, obviously, you have the twist of him being the actual replacement already, and then you have the twist. Well, twist maybe, or this reveal that. Well, it played out like a twist because you have to pay attention to realize what was happening.
Mhm.
That Henrietta leaves a replacement for the real
Mhm.
Junior, and I love talking about this throughout the book. You and I and other readers noticed who read the physical book that
Mhm.
when you read, and I love when authors do this and put hints throughout. I do think it was a little obvious that he did it, but I love the creative choice.
Mhm.
You do not have quotation marks for Junior throughout this whole book. So you have Hen and Terrence, when they talk, there's quotation marks, but
Mhm.
when Junior talks, there's not. And so the whole time we were like kind of speculating maybe he's not human or what's going on here. And then at the end, Hen is obviously fed up with her awful jerk of a husband, leaves him the note with nothing on it that she told Terrence before. She was like, if I ever left my husband, I would just leave this blank note. And like, do you remember that?
No.
Yeah,
I
she
wondered
told
why she didn't
Terrence.
say anything. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't
I
get
wish
it.
I remembered what page it was on. If anybody knows, let me know. But she told Terrence, like, if I ever left, I wouldn't say anything because she was talking about communications and stuff. Like he wouldn't even realize, like, because he never listens anyway. So I would just like put a letter on it and then it would be blank. And
Mhm.
that's exactly what she did. So that was our hint that she was leaving, if you
Mhm.
remembered that when she told Terrence. And then you lose her quotation marks at the end. So that, and then also the looking at the beetle thing happened. So you have all these confirmations of she left him with the replacement. And he is such a just awful human being and objectified her so much and just wanted her to be this pristine, listen to me, do what I tell you to wife that
Mhm.
waits on him hand and foot. That when she started to behave, he's like, oh, good, she's finally come around. Like, yeah, okay, but joke's on you because it's not your wife. So he
Uh,
deserves a robot.
yeah. And I
But
mean, honestly, do you think he really cares? Like if he were to
probably
find out?
not.
Probably not. He's
He
like,
just
"I
wanted
like
somebody
this
to
one
save
better." She
him.
knows what I say.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I loved it. I just thought it was fantastic.
So question, because you had the audiobook. If
Yeah.
somebody listened to the audiobook only, would there have been any indication of the differences?
Yeah,
That
because of the if you remembered the note, because
Mhm.
she mentioned to Terrence that she would do this, and then she did leave a note, so you're expecting, okay, she's left. And then when she comes back home, the part with the beetle, because she does have the beetles in the sink and she stares at it, so that's your indicator that she's not herself.
Yeah.
Because Yvette just listened to the audiobook. She didn't have the physical book, and because I was talking to her about the quotations, and so she didn't have that, and she still knew what had
Okay.
happened. So I think it's still possible. But I think having the physical book definitely adds to because you have that little Easter egg there,
Yeah.
the quotations. So
And plus you, like, kind of I don't know, because I don't know. I don't really remember what I was thinking, but I did pick up on, "Hey, there's no quotations for
mhm.
him. That's weird. That's
Like, is
gotta
that
be"
intentional? And
Right.
you find out it is.
Yeah. But no, I wasn't sure if maybe the audiobook, like, when it went from real Henrietta to AI Henrietta, I didn't know, like, if the way that the narrator spoke, it was maybe a little more controlled and robotic versus, um, you know, speaking like a human.
Mhm.
Okay. Do we think Junior ever actually figures out he's not living? Probably not,
No.
because he's so happy now that
Unless she
he's
malfunctions, but I mean, like, Terrence that's the other thing. I'm like, when Terrence shows up, because he does show up again in the end, and it's like, does he not think it's weird that he's showing up to check on them again?
'cause he's gotta do maintenance on her, right?
Yeah, so I don't know.
Hmm, that's a good point. I forgot that he shows back up in the end.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yep. I was so happy, I wasn't expecting it, but it was so funny. Yeah, it was like a very, like, good for her type
yeah.
move. So and I, like, part of me was hoping that she was going to, like, get AI Junior back, but then I was like, "But
I
that
know.
can't happen because he's gone, so they'd have to, like, start all over, and then
Yeah,
it'd be"
that's what I was thinking when she left, like, she's gonna leave and end up being with AI Junior,
Yeah.
but that wasn't what happened. She just left her replacement, which is still great. I loved it.
Hen leaving was the best, yeah. I only listened and missed the note part connection. Oh, like, the no notations, but as soon as
Mhm.
she watched the Beetle, I knew. Okay. Deep question. Junior being okay with AI Hen is not okay because he is looking for someone to adore him and submit. Hen wanting AI Junior back, is that okay? I think
Mhm.
so because I don't think she objectified him the way that real Junior objectifies her.
But should we be in relationship with AI? Like, that's a whole nother question of like, I do think that the way the world is going, like, obviously AI is already integrated into our society. You see them at like sporting events, and which is terrifying to me. So
Mhm.
it would not surprise me if I mean, people have relations with animals. So it would not surprise me if people had relations with robots,
Yeah.
especially if you want a perfect relationship. I personal belief wise, I don't think that's okay. But for the sake of a fictional story, I wanted her to get back with AI Junior. So,
Yeah. And then Terrence showing up the same way as in the beginning with the replacement, noticing the headlights of Terrence's car coming. Mhm.
yes. Mm,
I felt like that had some symbolism too, just because of how emphasized it was, them
yeah.
seeing the headlights coming and yeah.
Mhm.
Yep, Gwen is in agreement. All right. So I know we talked about this a bit like in the Discord, and it was mentioned, I think, during our reading sprints as well. But what other works did this remind you of?
So initially, like without much context, just from the cover of this was one of the first things that I told Elise was I was like, doesn't the cover of this make you think of the movie Signs? So I'd already speculated. I was like, are there going to be aliens in
Yeah.
this? Because it just gave me Signs vibes. And if y'all have not seen Signs, you need to. It is such a good, like, I don't know when it came out, like 90s maybe. I don't know. But It was a
Uh-huh.
great movie. If you like sci-fi and you like that, I think that it is still the setting reminded me of it. Just being in that isolated setting away from the city, way out in the country, just having this farmhouse. So if you like that setting and you're looking for something else with that setting, I think that that would be a good movie to watch. But the whole book gave me the Twilight Zone vibes, like with the whole you are in a real situation, but something's off,
Mhm.
because in the Twilight Zone, it's always like you're in the real world, usually with like a real story. And then there's a twist. And I don't know if y'all have you seen the Twilight Zone, like the show or like the movie or anything before?
I saw the movie with Dan Aykroyd in it, and it
Okay.
terrified me.
The shows, I honestly prefer the shows. They're so like I almost want to like spoil one, but it's just the twists are so good. Like they come out of left field. And
Mhm.
I don't think, I mean, this didn't really come out of left field. We kind of knew something was up, but the vibes of this, like I can't associate it with anything else. I don't know that I have any other like book or movie experience that would be relatable anyways. But
Mhm.
that is just if you like the story of like normal life, slice of life, but something's unsettling and something's not right, you need to watch the Twilight Zone if you've never seen it before because it's just I think it'll captivate you. And it is some of them are a little scary, but like man, they're so good. They're so good. So that's the only things I can think of.
Okay. And you did mention Men in Black a little bit too.
Yeah, yeah. Just when the appearance of Terrence, like
Mhm.
when he was introduced, I was like, this is very Men in Black.
Yeah. So for me, I saw a lot of Black Mirror, and there are 2 episodes in particular, one from, like, the 1st season and one from one of the newer seasons. The one from the older or, like, from, like, the 1st season was this, woman, her husband passes away, and there's this company where you can purchase, like, these replicas of people that you've lost, of loved ones that you've
Mhm.
lost. And obviously, it goes into a lot of the issues of, like, being in relationships with, robots and things like that, and how, yes, they're a replica, but they're not the actual person. So it really reminded me of that. And then one of the newer episodes were, like, the husband goes to space. So his physical body is in space, but there's a replica of him on Earth, but he has
Mhm.
to tap into it. So, like, he has to, like, go into this pod in space and tap into his replica, and then his replica can be, like, activated and can, like, see his
Mm,
family, and so,
that's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, so I got a lot of that, and then only one part made me think of The Truman Show with Jim Carrey.
Mm.
I think that's what
Yeah.
it's The Truman Show,
Yeah.
because when Terrence and AI Junior go to the mill, and it's really weird, like, it kinda mentions, like, a lot of the employees, like, no one's really around, and then the
Yeah.
one woman, she's like, "Oh, like, what are you doing here?" And so I was like, "Oh my gosh, is, like, everybody in on this weird thing, and, like, this is not real life, and
Yeah.
everybody's just" I don't know, but
Mhm.
that that's all I thought of.
I do
Ooh,
wonder because maybe she thought he had come back.
yeah, and it's
And
like
so Terrence had to be like, "Okay, we need to get out of here, like, let's"
Mhm.
'cause it was he was trying to cover it up.
Well, and I assumed that they knew, but apparently they didn't know that he wasn't the real Junior. Okay, where were we? Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Okay. Basically, both the Junior and Hen preferred AI because AI
I mean,
smart. Yeah, that's true.
stop it right now. Like, I hope you're saying that you're not saying that because but
Don't tell me
where's
that.
Lena? You know? I don't tell Lena. I I kinda can see what you're saying just because 'cause you're confused and you're trying to figure out what's going on. Like, any story that's like
Oh,
Gwen was saying Bunny. I was like, "Do not compare this to Bunny,"
really?
because yeah, she was like, "But it's still confusing and you don't know what's going on." I was like, "If you tell people that this is like Bunny, nobody's gonna pick this up."
Right.
Or somebody will if they like it. I don't know, but
I didn't like it. I hated it. Um, okay, so with Comfort Me with Apples, because I love that one,
yeah.
and aside from you saying, like, you don't really know what's going on until the very end, is that specifically what she's talking about, do you think?
Probably. I mean,
Because
I don't
you didn't
think you
like it,
better.
right?
No, I did like it. Me
Oh,
and Lena
okay.
fight about Lena calls it rotten apples.
Yep.
So thank you for being on my side of this argument, at least. Because literally that is all mine and Lena's relationship is mostly based off of disagreements of that book. So
Oh my goodness. I love it. It also reminded me of The Quiet Place for some reason. Okay. Like that ominous feeling, for sure. I could see that. I don't know if it was mentioned here before, but I saw someone mention, yes, that's the one where the guys go to space and then they have to like tap into an AI version of them or
do
like
you
a
think that that would scare me, like that specific episode? Because I'm like intrigued to watch it now. Because I don't watch Black Mirror because there's parts of it that I'm like, oh, this might. I don't think that this would be something I should watch. But if I like that
I mean,
specific episode,
personally, I think if you liked Faux, I think you would like Black Mirror
okay, I
because
need to find this episode if anybody knows specifically what episode it is,
ooh, let me Black
because I
Mirror
would like to watch it.
Aaron
And
Paul.
honestly, like I'm not gonna lie, as if I can finish Assistant to the Villain to the Night, which I'm still like working on. If I have time before I go to bed, I really want to watch The Twilight Zone because this book has just really made me want to watch The Twilight Zone. It's so good.
Beyond the Sea, I think, is what I'm finding.
Beyond the Sea. Okay.
Yep. So it
Oh,
says in alternative 1969, or in an alternative 1969, two men on a perilous high-tech mission wrestle with the consequences of an unimaginable tragedy. Unimaginable. Hello, words. But yeah, I mean, I think because I'm trying to think like there's only really one episode that I thought was a little like, ugh, and that was like the very first season. But most of them, it's like they just blow your mind and they just really
okay.
like kind of break your brain a little bit, making you think like, "Oh my
Maybe I
goodness." Like
need to watch more of that.
mhm.
I just need to be careful because I've seen episodes where some of it I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I should watch that, but I think Gwen has watched it. Gwen, if you've watched it, you tell me which ones I need to avoid too. Because
Mhm.
she knows. She'll know, be like, don't watch this.
I just rode the Hollywood Tower of Terror at Disney World. Oh my gosh, I loved that ride and I love that Disney movie. We watched that last year, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We
Yeah.
did.
And now I definitely want to watch The Twilight Zone. Yes. The weird psychological element and the relationship dynamics reminded me of the movie Don't Worry, Darling with
Is
Florence
that
Pugh
got
and
here?
Harry Styles.
I want to watch that. It's on my list to watch. See, now that's something else. I'm like, I love that whole like Stepford Wives, like
Mhm.
suburban something's not right. I mean, that was Comfort Me
Mhm.
with Apples too. So that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm glad you said that, Allie, because I need to write that down to remind myself to watch that too. Am I going
Yes.
to read this week? You know,
I missed the whole live because I thought it was I'm sorry. No. I'm definitely going back to watch. Well, thank you for joining. I love the Twilight Zone and Tower of Terror. Mhm. Twilight Zone episode where all he wants to do is read, but is always interrupted. Then an apocalypse happens, and he's the last person. He takes refuge in a library, but breaks his glass.
that, please watch. Everybody watch it. I love that episode. Oh my gosh. Oh, I have to go back and watch all these.
That
Dang
would
it.
be awful.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's so good though. That sounds. I mean, she told you the plot of the whole episode, but like that, it's. I love the Twilight Zone. Oh my gosh.
I think of this episode all the time. I watched it in elementary school.
They made
Oh,
us watch the movie. Was it the movie or was it an episode in elementary school? I don't remember, but that's where I first found out about it. And then I watched it. I told my parents I wanted to watch it, and they were like, "Why?" Because like they grew up with it, like it's old, you know. And so, like, why do you want to watch this? Like, so I
so,
love it.
like, I've seen bits and pieces of, like, the old black and white show
Yeah,
just
that's what I'm
in
talking about.
other movies and stuff, but, like, the newer movie I say newer, I was a kid when I watched it, but like I said, Dan Aykroyd is in it, and I remember that specifically. I don't really remember any of the other parts of the movie, but there's one part, I think it's towards the end, where they're on a plane, and the person is, like, sitting in a window seat on the wing, and they're looking outside, and there's, like, this blue alien monster on the wing, And that terrified me. Like,
You
to
know
this
what? I don't
day.
know if I did I watch the movie?
It
What
was
is
scary.
that thing? I don't know that I watched the movie. Maybe it was an episode and it wasn't the movie. What is that bunny thing?
Oh, yeah. Yep. It was scary. It was
I don't
scary.
think I watched that. Just kidding. I watched the show. That was in
Okay.
1983. Um, was that the only movie they made from it? Was that one?
I don't know.
I don't know. Probably. But yeah, definitely watch the show. So, okay. Hmm.
Loves that episode too. Great comparisons. I agree. What happened to the replacement junior?
They shut him down, apparently. I know. I'm like, does he probably did get recycled. They probably recycled his parts, but I'm like, why did they have to shut him down? Why? I mean, I guess they probably reprogrammed him with, because he had all those memories from what he had learned from his time with Penn. So,
Yeah. It's so sad though. Like, it would take time for him to accept his new reality, but I
yeah.
feel like they could have done
Wouldn't it
something.
be nice to just shut our brains down whenever we're like, nope, I'm done? Like, mm.
I like to come from it with
Oh, yeah,
apple.
that's right.
Yay.
Woo!
That was very similar with the main character being confused. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I saw a review and I haven't read this book. I think Gwen has read it. I don't know if you've read it. Somebody said that it reminded them of Our Wives Under the Sea.
I haven't read that.
I think Gwen has. So Gwen, if you're still here, can you confirm if it is similar, what it would be if it's not spoilery? Because I did see that in a review, but I haven't read that book. So
Yvette says, read and not watch Twilight Zone.
I know she's trying to make sure I get Assistant to the Villain finished. I will get it finished. I read 35 pages at work, and it put me from 60% to 70% of the book. So I'll definitely. I mean, I'm pretty close to the end, and I'm still loving it. And I know you and Yvette are so excited about that.
I don't know if I would compare
Okay.
them.
I don't know what the person didn't say what it was that but they just said that it reminded them of that. So I don't really know what it was specifically.
I would imagine just based off of reviews like that I've heard other booktubers say, because it was really popular like last year or the year before. It seems like the ominous ambiance and like
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely like a vibes book. Like for
yes.
me, I feel like it's all about the vibes and the not knowing and
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. All right. So, oh no, I need to figure out what I'm rating this. So go ahead and share your final thoughts and what you ultimately rated the book.
Well, I couldn't keep my mouth shut about it. I mean, I shared when I finished this book, and that's the thing is I've had books that I've finished, and I'm like, yep, I really like this. This was a 5 stars. And then I have books that I finished that I'm, oh my gosh, this was so awesome. This is 5 stars. And like, it's so weird. I have different types of 5 stars. Like, it's not like this is a favorite book of all time or anything like that. It probably won't even be in my favorite books of the year. But for whatever reason, this man just captivates me with his writing. I love the short chapters. I love how I can fly through it. And just to be able to sit and read a book in one sitting being able to do that is a huge deal, And so I just feel like I needed this at the time that I read it too. So I gave it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I'm obviously going to pick up more from this author, and I'm mad at myself that I waited 2 years because it was 2 years ago that I read the other book. It will not be 2 years before I read We Spread. I don't know when I will read it, but at least by the end of next year, I will have it read. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah, I loved your Instagram story when you finally finished it.
I was like, his brain is braining. It really is, though. I mean, I think he did a great job writing this, and I know some people will argue with me probably about this, but I do feel like he writes in a unique way. I feel like he is his own person, and I've not read any other books like him. Like, I feel like I would know his voice if I read. Like, I don't know. So, but that's just me.
Yeah. No, I have not. This was my very first Iain Reid. That's why the ominous vibes. Is that what you're talking about? The writing. Okay.
But see, I don't think we talked about this. I told her, I was like, but Bunny's writing was so pretentious and this was so easy and flowy, you
Yeah.
know? And I liked Bunny, but like I just don't in my brain they don't mesh.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We can agree to disagree.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that Bunny's writing was pretentious, and I did not like that one, but not pretentious.
Oh, so the same but not pretentious. So what about I'm just kidding. I'm just picking.
I love the twist and really enjoyed it. Thanks for getting me to branch out. Of course. Thank you for joining us, Sam. Okay, so I kind of mentioned this before. I was really intrigued in the beginning, but then just the not knowing, it stressed me out. Sam, I think you saying that this gave you anxiety is probably exactly how I felt, because I would I would get into it when I was reading it, and then I would put it down, and then I'd be like, "Okay, I need a minute. I need to detach myself from what's going on here." And I don't know, the ending was yeah, I think those twists were pretty good. I don't know. Okay, so I'm struggling. So it's either a high 3 or a low 4.
Yeah. I feel like from hearing you talk about it, I feel like it's probably like a 3 or a
A 3.
3.5, somewhere
Okay,
around there. Yeah. Just
okay.
from because you're so on the fence about it. And I feel like you did enjoy it, but I don't feel like it was like a just a great, like phenomenal read for you or anything like I mean, obviously I know it's not a 5 star, but
I mean, it was an experience, to say
yeah.
the least, and I would certainly recommend it for people. I feel like most sci-fis give me anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's one of those books that you finish and really feel like you need to talk to someone about it. There's a lot of great books that you still don't or I'm sorry, that still don't elicit that feeling for me. A good book club book. Yes, I
Mhm.
agree. And this was a phenomenal discussion, you guys. Thank you, everyone. If this had been a 12-hour book, I would have been pissed. At least they were only giving me anxiety for a short spurt of time. Yeah,
I was not anxious. I was just like in it. I was just there, you know? I don't know what y'all are talking about, this anxiety. I have anxiety, but I did not have anxiety reading this book. I was just like, woo, I'm here for this.
agree with Keisha based on your thoughts. It seems like a 3 for you, but like you said, a high 3. Yeah. Okay. All right. It's official. It's a 3-star for me.
I do wish it was higher, but I feel like
I
realistically
know.
that's what it
Right.
seems like.
I mean, okay. I've seen that a lot of rating systems for authors specifically, like in their minds, they see 3s as a bad rating. I don't see 3s as a bad rating. Like
Yeah,
I'd say it's, it's
it's
neutral.
good.
It's not bad. It's decent. Like there were definitely good things about it. Um, love the anxiety with these books. If you continue to think about it, maybe a 4 later
Yeah.
on. I mean, I thought about it because when did I finish this? It was a few days ago, right, that I told you I finished this?
Mhm.
And I think I thought about it for a couple days, but then I think all this week, aside from knowing that our discussion was coming up, I didn't really think about it. Glad it was short, yeah. All
Are you gonna
right.
read more from him?
I'm not super interested in I'm thinking of ending things or We Spread. I'm not saying I'll never read those, but, like, at this point in time, they're not on my TBR.
Gotcha.
But if he has stuff coming out, like, in the future, then, certainly
Potentially.
if it sounds good, then yeah. Alright, so, we are, of course, doing a movie night, watching the adaptation of this movie starring Saoirse Ronan and Paul Mescal. Is that
I don't
his name?
remember his name. I just know her.
Yeah.
So
And so we're just gonna do this over on Discord. We can chat. So it's gonna start at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So everyone can just hit play at the same time. It is streaming on Prime. So if you have a Prime subscription, you can watch it there. Otherwise, watch it however you would like. Keisha, I'm gonna start telling you I said something and you just don't remember it. See if you get anxious then. Ooh.
do not do that to me. Do not do that. Oh my gosh, I think I'm going crazy.
Oh my gosh. So yes, we hope to see everybody in the chat. And then also too, I don't have a banner for this, but I do still have voting open. So next year for Libronauts, I am still going to have the option for co-hosts to pick a book, but I also want the members to pick books. So I do have some voting that is currently open. You can vote on Discord or over on the Libronauts Bookstagram. There's like 5 different categories, 3 options for each, and just select the option that you are most interested in. So I'm hoping in a couple weeks I'll be able to have some answers, get some co-hosts, and then I can start announcing anyways, some of the books for next year. Okay, we have a couple more.
I've never wanted to read Jurassic Park more in my life.
Really? Yay!
I like dinosaurs and I love the movie, so I'm like, why have I never read this? I may not like it, but I'm like, if it gets picked, I'm reading it for Libronauts. So
yeah, I think right now it's winning that category. So yes, I'm excited. This side eye.
Yep.
Excuse me. Thank you. Fun read. Yes. Thank you everyone for joining. And of course, next month we are reading This Time Tomorrow by Emma Straub. This one is kind of like, I think, a contemporary where the woman time travels back to when she's younger. And I've heard it's so. But we will be doing that with Summer of Seasons readings. So yay. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. This was a wonderful discussion. Thank you, Keisha, for co-hosting. I'm so happy you were able to join. And hopefully we will see some or all of you on October 4th for the movie. So, bye.